Most people in the gym are either working too hard in the wrong direction or not hard enough in the right one, and the difference between those two mistakes is years of wasted time. This video lays out exactly what a training plan needs to look like to build muscle and lose fat at the same time. Not vague principles, actual numbers, sets, reps, frequency, exercise selection, and one technique that research shows can produce nearly 50% more muscle growth without adding a single extra minute of training. By the end, there will be a complete framework ready to take into the gym this week. Here's the first thing most training programs get completely backwards. They are built around how much time someone wants to spend in the gym rather than what the body actually needs to grow. The two variables that matter most for muscle growth are training volume, the total number of hard sets per muscle group per week, and proximity to failure, how close to absolute exhaustion each set is taken. Everything else is downstream from those two things. On volume, a large meta-analysis found a clear pattern. The first 5 sets per muscle per week drive significant growth. Sets 5 through 10 drive some. Beyond 10, returns diminish but do not stop. For maximizing growth, 12 to 20 sets per muscle per week is well supported. For consistent, sustainable progress, 4 to 10 sets is a highly effective range that still produces real, detectable growth over time. On proximity to failure, the research is unambiguous. When sets are stopped 8 reps short of failure, which is where most gym goers actually train, muscles grow. But when sets are pushed to within 1 or 2 reps of failure, growth nearly doubles. That is the single most impactful adjustment most people could make without changing anything else about their routine. One critical constraint: diminishing returns kick in at around 10 to 11 sets per muscle group in a single workout. The fix is simple: spread weekly volume across at least 2 sessions per muscle per week, rather than cramming it into one. That structural change alone can speed up gains by as much as 30%. 4 to 20 sets per muscle per week depending on the goal, each set pushed close to failure, never exceeding 10 to 11 sets for the same muscle in one session. Those 3 rules put most people ahead of the majority of lifters in any gym. Volume and proximity to failure set the foundation, but the exercises used to hit that volume determine how efficiently the body actually responds. And most people's exercise selection is leaving significant gains on the table. The single most important quality of any exercise for muscle growth is whether it loads the target muscle in a lengthened, stretched position. Across roughly 40 studies, exercises that place high tension on a muscle in a deep stretch consistently produce more growth than those that only load the muscle in a shortened position. This is one of the most robust findings in recent exercise science. In practice, exercise selection should prioritize movements that challenge the muscle hardest when it is most stretched. For the biceps, that means Bayesian cable curls over standard standing curls. For the triceps, overhead extensions over press downs. For the hamstrings, seated leg curls over lying. Research found about 50% more hamstring growth with the seated version over 12 weeks. For the chest, incline presses and cable flies. For the lats, pull-ups or pull-downs with a full stretch at the bottom. The movement should also be loadable and progressible in the 4 to 12 rep range, time efficient to set up, and should actually target the primary function of the muscle being trained. Program complexity does not need to be high. 1 to 2 exercises per muscle group per week is sufficient for most muscles. For complex groups like the back, which contains multiple muscles with different functions, 3 to 5 exercises ensures full development. The goal is not variety for its own sake, but making sure that where one exercise has a weakness, another covers it. Prioritize exercises that load the muscle in a stretched position and get progressively stronger on those movements over time. That combination is what drives the most efficient muscle growth possible. Here is something almost no training program mentions, despite 3 recent studies showing it can produce nearly 50% more muscle growth in the same amount of gym time. The technique is called a stretch superset. When a set hits failure, instead of stopping, continue performing partial repetitions in the stretch position, the bottom of the movement, until no further partials are possible. The first study testing this was conducted in 2024 on calf raises. One leg trained to failure normally, the other used stretch supersets. After 10 weeks, the standard leg grew 6.7%. The stretch superset leg grew 9.6%, nearly 50% more growth with no additional time in the gym. A follow-up 2026 study equalized total training volume by having participants do half as many sets of stretch supersets. The result, muscle growth was nearly identical between groups. The same gains in half the sets, a doubling of training efficiency. A third study then compared stretch supersets against stretch partials only, no full range of motion at all. The partials only condition won. The driver of the extra growth was simply more time under high tension in the deep stretch. Stretch supersets work best on exercises where the bottom of the movement is not already the hardest part. Calf raises, cable curls, triceps overhead extensions, lateral raises. For exercises that already peak in tension at the stretch, flies, incline curls, the benefit is smaller because the stretch emphasis is already built in. On any exercise where the bottom is not the hardest part, hit failure and continue with controlled partials in the stretched position. It costs nothing extra in time and can meaningfully accelerate growth. The right program is useless if recovery is not supporting it. And the two biggest recovery variables are the ones most people are already managing badly. The first is sleep. Growth hormone and testosterone are released at their highest concentrations during sleep. 7 to 9 hours per night is the target, and quality matters as much as quantity. A genuinely dark, cold, quiet room makes a meaningful difference. Even something as simple as an eye mask and earplugs can make 7 hours feel like a full, restorative night. The second is program structure. Each muscle group needs at least 48 hours between hard sessions. Upper-lower, push-pull leg, and full-body splits trained 3 to 4 times per week all accommodate this naturally, and all outperform traditional body part splits that hit each muscle only once per week, because training each muscle 2 to 3 times per week allows for both sufficient stimulus and adequate recovery. Cardio does not need to be cut. Low-intensity cardio, walking, light cycling supports cardiovascular health and recovery capacity. The mistake is high-intensity cardio that competes directly with the recovery resources the body needs to build muscle. 7 to 9 hours of sleep, 48-hour minimum rest between sessions for the same muscle, low-intensity cardio only. Those habits are what allow hard training to actually convert into muscle. Here is the complete framework: volume. 4 to 10 sets per muscle per week for solid progress, up to 20 to maximize. Never more than 10 to 11 sets for the same muscle in one session. Proximity to failure. Every set within 1 to 2 reps of failure. Last set of each exercise taken to full failure. Exercise selection. Prioritize stretch-loaded movements. 1 to 2 exercises per simple muscle group, 3 to 5 for complex ones. Stretch supersets, where the bottom is not the hardest part of the movement. Hit failure and continue with stretched partials. Structure. Upper-lower, push-pull legs, or full-body splits, 3 to 4 days per week, each muscle trained at least twice. Recovery. 7 to 9 hours of sleep, 48-hour rest between sessions, low-intensity cardio. Train hard, train smart, recover fully. Want more fast fitness tips like this? Check out the next video here.